My boyfriend puts more effort into video games than our relationship. That's just it. Too long didn't read. My relationship is lonely as fuck. Edit. We're both 25, live together, and have been together for almost 4 years. We don't talk too much because all he talks about is gaming, or going to the gym. And I just can't get on board. I enjoy watching gamers and playing video games too, but I make sure things are taken care of first. All my BF ever says to me is, "You doing okay? How you doing?" And I say I'm fine every time. Just fine. I can't tell him that I want him to stop and hang out with me because gaming makes him so much happier than being with me. I've tried this before and he gets mad and says I don't support his happiness. When he does hang with me, he's on his phone watching video games or bodybuilders. I talk and he doesn't listen because he's distracted. I want to start a homestead and van life, and we've come as far as buying land and starting a van build, and he was so excited. That's what he wanted to, but he would rather play games and focus on his Valorant ranking. I was sobbing yesterday telling him how lonely I am, and how no one talks to me, and he's just like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and then 10 minutes later he's like, "Can I go play video games?" Sad face. Like, okay, I'll just cry silently in my room, and in the shower, and while you're sleeping next to me in bed. And not one time has he caught on. Girl, I dumped my BF for this exact reason. You just have to really sit down and think, is this what I want for the rest of my life? If not, get out. Talk to him. Relationships shouldn't be sad. If you aren't getting your needs met, then he needs to know that, and address it, and then fix it. If he can't acknowledge he's doing something wrong and he doesn't care how it affects you, then leave. You deserve a happy relationship. I've definitely talked to him before about this, and he always thinks I'm against him. I was in the same place as you were a few years ago. When I confronted my partner about how I was feeling and that I thought I wasn't that high of a priority, he said, "Why would I ever break up with you? You're always here." I've been on my own for a year now and have never been happier. Always be with someone who makes you feel like a priority. What positive things are you getting out of this relationship? It's a good question and really telling that I can't answer at this moment. I don't see ages or how long you have been together, but it just doesn't seem like he wants to be in a relationship. I was going to say you two aren't compatible, but all he wants to do is game. He doesn't seem to want a girlfriend in any way, shape, or form. You haven't mentioned any positives that you get from the relationship. No intimacy, no partnership in anything except purchasing the land. I would say have one more attempt at the tough conversation where you say, "Be present in this relationship or we break up." I fixed it. We're both 25, and I'm so turned off by him being unmotivated to do anything else that I don't really put out anymore. He doesn't really ask too often anymore, and when he does he's always aggressive about it and never soft, if that makes sense. Long-time partner bought a home, treats me like a tenant. Too long didn't read. Long-time BF bought home, treats me like a tenant. Reminds me at every possibility that I'm living in his house. Says things like, "Don't come back to my house in fights." I'm miserable and considering moving out. Need help. So a little background: my BF of almost 7 years bought a home recently, and at first, I was so excited that we get to start building a home together. My BF and I both make very good incomes. However, I deposit every single extra dollar I have towards my student loans. Hence, when it came time to put down on a home, I was honestly only able to scrape up /10% of the down. My BF refused to take the money and said that unless I had 50% of the down, my name won't be on the deed whatsoever. I even offered to hire a lawyer to write up a contractual piece that outlined that I only owed X% of the home, the percent that I put in. My BF refused this, so come closing, the house is his, and I'm annoyed because I've bought all the furniture in the home, a couple of grand on the couches, TVs, rugs, all the things that make the home a home, and he's starting to ask me to help pay for appliances and restoration costs. My BF has also stopped paying for any groceries and food because he says that he's housebroke, so I've been supporting us on that end for a month or two now. TBH, at this point, I have accepted my BF for the stingy person that he is and let all things slide. The thing that really bothers me is that he says things like, "Don't come to my house. You're being too loud in my house. You need my permission to paint this room XYZ, essentially treating me like a tenant. TBH, worse than a tenant, because no landlord has never said don't come to my house. Reddit, what do I do? Am I in the right to be very annoyed to the point where I want to find my own place? Note that I can easily rent another place myself, or even buy a cheaper smaller condo of my own. This landlord/tenant relationship is miserable to me and I really need advice. Thank you." Update: thank you Reddit for the outpour of support and advice. I knew in my heart that I cannot be in a relationship like this. For the time being I packed my bags and went to my parents. I texted BF to let him know that I am doing so and he called me to ask why. He didn't really know why I was this upset. I told him that I'm staying with my parents for at least a couple of days and the reasons why I'm devastated. And that's about it. I want to talk to him in person in a couple of days, maybe weeks, considering moving out, getting my own apartment, etc. There's a lot for me to figure out. Again, thank you all. Well, you bought everything else, so take it with you. Find an apartment, put down the deposit and first month, hire a moving company, and when he's working, move out. Then let him know you're no longer living in his house. If there's too much furniture he can buy it from you or you can sell it, but get your worth from it. Appliances for restoration, sell them. New dishwasher, Facebook Marketplace. Anyone who treats a long-term partner the way he's treated you needs a huge reality check, and that's how I do it. I would have suggested a come to Jesus talk, but I don't think in his case it would do anything. Think leaving and having him come home to see you reap what you sow. Empty home would be your best option here. He can discuss earning you back after you've lived alone for a while and realize you deserve to be treated like a person. And don't let him claim the furniture as his. He has no problem reminding you the house is his. You have every right to what you paid for. What a jackass he is. I think it's time to get your own place, and take all your furniture to that place. After 7 years, why doesn't he see you as his full partner? If I flat out owned a home and was able to move my partner in, I would be ecstatic that I could provide both of us a place to live and help our relationship progress. Instead, he treats all the stuff you buy as ours, but his house is mine. Does he want to be with you or not? Relationships are not transactions where you keep score of who owns what and hold it against each other. I think the way he's treating you as described in this post is super shitty and alienating. You're well within your rights to simply move out and take all your stuff with you. If you want to talk to him about this and how his behavior is off-putting, stingy, and downright mean, you can do that. You can tell him he makes you feel like you two have a business relationship and nothing more, and that's not how you want a relationship to be. If he thinks that a relationship is different, don't fall into the trap of thinking that leaving would be a waste of 7 years. Instead, it's saving all the years ahead of you when you could be happy instead of miserable. I think this is a very clear sign that you two aren't compatible. You can't force him not to be selfish, it's who he is, and if he can't see past his own nose, there's nothing you can do about it, unless you want to keep letting things slide. Thanks for your input. I think this is very true. I can't change him and have forced myself to accept so much, but this house thing is too much. He says that he's house broke, so he bought a house he can't afford. I'm annoyed because I've bought all the furniture in the home. I do hope you plan to take all of the furniture you bought when you move out. I 30F haven't had sex with my husband, 35M, for 3 months and am now masturbating frequently as an outlet and hiding it. My husband and I've been together for 9 years and married for 5, no kids. We used to have sex frequently until a year ago. With busy schedules and the usual upkeep of life, it has naturally affected our sex life. We spoke about it recently and agreed to make more of an effort together. Even so, nothing has changed much. With the lockdown, we have both gained a few pounds, me more than him, and I don't feel as attractive as I used to. I'm working on getting back into shape currently. Bit of a background, I was a virgin until I met my husband and came around to explore my sexuality with him. He has treated me really well and I love being with him. However, most of my friends are still single and I hear about their experiences, which sometimes makes me feel like I should have explored more when I was single/younger. This has made me lurk around erotica and subreddits with sex stories, which I use to masturbate to. I've also started fantasizing about reaching out to strangers here and talk dirty with them. I absolutely love my husband and I'm ashamed of my behavior and I know I'm in the wrong, but I don't know how to make it better. Too long didn't read. Sexually deprived, I'm turning to masturbating to erotica and thinking of engaging with strangers online even though I'm in a committed relationship. Edit. Thanks everyone who responded and provided some food for thought. I really appreciate all the constructive criticism and have decided to be more honest and bold with my husband. There are definitely a lot of things I could do better. And to everyone who PM'd me to flirt, don't. Have you talked to your husband or blatantly tried to come on to him? Some guys don't get subtle come on messages. He may just be thinking that you're stressed and or insecure and not interested in him. You can even try something simple like send him some text messages throughout the day with some of your thoughts of things that you two should try. It doesn't have to involve dressing up. I have been more subtle with my intentions, but yes, I'll definitely try to be more bold. Thanks. Do you think that if you were still having frequent sex that you would still want to explore erotica/sex stories? It's not one or the other is my main point there. Would he be open to you telling him something like, hey, I just read a really hot story. Wanna fool around? Is there a reason why you're hiding your masturbation? It's completely normal and nothing to be ashamed of even if you were having sex often. I would strongly recommend not reaching out to strangers to talk dirty with them. If you want to talk dirty with someone, tell your husband. Right now you're just sexually frustrated and needing an outlet. If you reach out to others, you're in a whole other iffy category that could be considered cheating depending on the boundaries set in your relationship. It's not a good idea to compare your life to your single friends. Even if you had gone a different way, there's no guarantee you would have experienced anything better than what you have now. I'm shy when it comes to being intimate, even with my husband. That's why I hide it. I also don't want him to feel like he doesn't satisfy me, cause when we do have sex, it's really good. Thanks for the advice and not being judgmental. Fantasies and masturbation are very normal, but they can have either positive or negative effects on your sex life as a couple, and it's important to keep that in mind. If you're channeling all your sexual energy into fantasy and masturbation instead of your relationship, that will be detrimental. Why are you having sex so infrequently? Is he turning you down? Are you waiting for him to initiate? Is it just inertia? Do you need to try scheduled sex dates? Do you need to focus on emotional connection and date nights? You need to talk to him, tell him you'd like to be having sex more, and together figure out how to make that happen. Just intending to be better won't change habits. You likely need a plan. Self-help books or even sex therapy can help if you guys can't figure it out. But it starts with communication. And maybe bring him into some of those fantasies, both with literally fantasizing about him and by considering acting out fantasies with him. Emo, there is nothing wrong with reading erotica, but whatever you do, do not start messaging strangers. There is a problem if you have gotten to the point of fantasizing about that and being envious of your single friends. Maybe you should show him this post or write a separate letter for him. Sometimes seeing it written out and articulated clearly is easier. Communication is key here, and you both need to make time for each other. In a relationship you have to actively choose each other every day and always be working on your marriage. I hope things get better.